What is going on, guys? Welcome on back to Second and Short, the hottest podcast in the game.
We're here to talk about all of your river rafting needs, all of your best river rafters in the whole neighborhood.
Thanks for just saying something way out of context that nobody's even gonna. For those of you that don't know, let's break the fourth wall down. We just came up with a movie script about river rafting, and it's gonna be great.
We're gonna delete that whole part, right?
Who knows? Anyways, I am Tyler Lauder. He is Aaron Ben. Aaron, how are you doing today, my man?
I'm great. I'm just so glad to see your face and your just boyish smile and sparkling eyes and stupid haircut.
Hey, I actually think my haircut looks fine, but thanks. Anyways, before we dive on into our new edition episode here on this lovely Thursday, be sure to click that subscribe button to stay up to date on everything that is Second and Short. Pretty soon we'll be having audio-only podcasts on some of your favorite audio podcast stations, such as Spotify and others. Be on the lookout for that.
Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff.
Also, click the like button down below. Let's try and break this thing we got going on. Come on, Cleveland Browns. You guys are our all hype team for 2019, 2020. We have to beat the Las Vegas Raiders on their likes. Let's get 20 likes on this video. Very small like goal. And then also hit some comments down below. Let us know what you guys like, don't like, harass us, whatever. It doesn't even matter. But with all that being said, let's talk about Jack Conklin and this right tackle leaving Tennessee for Ohio and moving all the way to Cleveland. And let's dive into his background. So, Jack Conklin was once the 8th overall draft pick in the 2016 draft by the Tennessee Titans by way of Michigan State. There's a lot of movement here. Get your map out. He was immediately named the starter, and he started all 16 games as a rookie, and based on Pro Football Focus, this was his best year out of all 4 seasons. And he was part of the NFL's top offensive line that season, and he was named All-Pro right tackle as a rookie. That's crazy, because they say offensive line is a very hard position to transition from the NFL to the pros sometimes, just because defensive linemen hit you harder, they run past you faster, they don't care if it's your mom's birthday. They're gonna punch you in the face and sack your quarterback. And he transitioned very well. Let's fast forward a little bit to 2017, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, we were all pretty pumped about that offensive line that year. It was pretty incredible to see the line go from, they were one of the worst in the league in 2014, 2015, and then suddenly 2016. And Mike Mularkey was the head coach, and they had that power blocking scheme, and they did really well. Everyone remembers that year was also when I remember anyways. I don't know if everyone remembers. That was the year the Predators went to the Stanley Cup Finals, and you could see the offensive line with Marcus Mariota chugging beers at the playoff game. So that was a real fun year to be a Titans fan. If I'm gonna add a personal note here. But yeah, 2017, he started all 16 games again. The offensive line wasn't as good as the year before. Conklin also wasn't as good as his rookie year, but he did start all 16 games as well as both playoff games, and then he tore his ACL against the Pats in the divisional game that year. And so then he took kind of that entire off season to recover. And then that offseason, the Titans also fired Mike Mularkey as head coach, hired Mike Vrabel. They kind of changed up the offensive blocking scheme. They changed to a zone blocking scheme. And Conklin's injuries, coupled with that kind of scheme change, and all of that mixed together, he kind of really struggled in 2018. And I mean, his play really took a hit, and Titans fans were kind of left wondering what was going to become of him. I mean, they didn't sign his 5th-year option. And they decided that his play, while he had started out really well, it wasn't really worth the money to sign him for that 5th year. But then last year, 2020 or 2019, he performance did improve. We saw the line as a whole got a lot better as the year went on, and we saw he really got pretty well adjusted to that in zone blocking scheme. So he started all 16 games last year. And was able to avoid injury for the most part. Started all 3 playoff games. Sadly, lost to the Chiefs in the playoffs in the championship round, and that's where he's gotten up to until now.
I mean, you can tell his 19 season improved because just look at Derrick Henry and the fact that he was able to lead the league in rushing. You have to assume that like their veteran voice on that offensive line stepped up and just kind of played his mind out, because we're sitting this point nowadays when guys are signing their contract extensions before their 5th-year option even hits. I mean, we just saw Christian McCaffrey do it. We just saw Patrick Mahomes do it. We're going to see more guys do it. And he played his mind out and he did what you're supposed to do. Like, start off good, keep your starting role, and then in your last year of your deal, play exceptionally well, so that way you'll get to resign. And I think just the way the cap was handled with the Titans and the fact that we knew they were going to sign Ryan Tannehill and they were going to try and sign Derrick Henry. They just made a decision that Conklin was number 3 or number 4 on their list of guys they needed. And out the door he went and over to Cleveland, where they had a huge need at right tackle. But before we go into where he's going to fit in with Cleveland, let's talk about what he's going to be making in Cleveland. Let's talk about that contract.
So yeah, he signed a 3-year, $42 million deal with Cleveland, which again, it's not a lot. It's not the most money by a right tackle in the league, but it's still a good deal of money, and more than I guess than the Titans were willing to spend for his talent level. He was at one point rumored to be signing with the Jets. They ended up signing George Fant instead. If you want to check out that episode that we did on George Fant's impact on the New York Jets, you can click the little icon up in the corner here. He has a cap hit of $8 million this year, $13 million next year, and then $15 million in his final year. And he can be cut after year 2 for just $9 million in dead cap.
So if you look at his contract and you did his average that he'd be making every year, he's going to be making about $14 million on average with guaranteed money and signing bonuses and however average money is, comprised. It puts him as the 3rd best right tackle in the game behind guys such as Trent Brown and Lane Johnson, which no matter what you think about anybody in the league, it's fair to say Lane Johnson is the best right tackle in the league. And then after that, you can kind of move around from Juwan James or L. Collins or Michael Schwartz, who's old, but there's just so many different guys you can use. But Conklin being the number 3 highest paid right tackle makes sense to me. I'm not going to argue with it. The guy's 25 years old. This is a fair contract. And for the Cleveland Browns, this was such a big need because you Browns fans know this. You guys have been in this hole for way too long. And like every time you guys have something good happen to you, there's like, yeah, but, like you guys go 10-6. Yeah, but you still don't make the playoffs because the AFC was stacked that year. Oh, you guys just signed all these great defensive players and Baker Mayfield's going into year 2. You got OBJ, Jarvis Landry. Yeah, but the coaching just didn't really fit on the offense and stuff just fell off. There's no more yeah buts. Like, you've got to start performing. And Jack Conklin is here to help out. And this Browns team, like, if you're a fan of any franchise, you must be jealous of the Browns because every year during the draft or in the offseason, they just seem to like go in the direction that they should be going. Those players don't always pan out, but they're exciting every year. And I think we're hitting the point where the players are going to start panning out. So let's jump on into Jack Conklin's his scheme fit, how he's going to fit in with this offense, and how he's going to help Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, all this offense. How's he going to help out?
Well, you said it before. Their offensive line has been a huge weakness last year and even the year before that. Like ever since Joe Thomas left in 2017, their offensive line hasn't been the same. And it was part of the reason, you could say it's part of the reason for Baker's regression in the sophomore year. And like you had to know that changes needed to be made on that offensive line. So in the draft, they drafted Jedrick Wills, that tackle from Alabama, early in the first round. He's going to slot in as the starter at left tackle.
Nice athlete. Real good athlete.
Yeah. Conklin is going to come in. He's going to stay on that right side. He's going to play right tackle opposite the rookie. If we're talking about like scheme wise, he played his best football his rookie year as part of a power blocking scheme. But at the end of the 2019 season, he showed that he is a smart enough player. He's got high enough football IQ to excel in any kind of scheme, even if it takes him a bit to adjust. And last year, he played very well in a zone scheme, blocking for Derrick Henry, who led the league in rushing, like you said. And Conklin is at his best in the run game. He's a decent pass blocker, but he's kind of got his agility isn't where you'd want it to be to defend the best left edge rushers in the league. His forte is in the run game. He's an absolute beast in the run game, and that's been the case since he was in college. They brought him in when Mike Mularkey was a coach, and he had his whole exotic smash mouth formation that he wanted to do, and just like run the ball down people's throats because he thinks it's the 1990s.
I mean, right there though, Nick Chubb was right behind Derrick Henry in rushing yards last year, and the Browns, like they've been looking like for help to run the ball on the outside. I mean, last year they only gained like 1.8 yards per carry, like 1.7 when running to the outside of the right tackle, but the Titans were gaining around 7 yards per carry running outside of Conklin, which just shows how much of an improved season he had and just what big of an impact. Because in my eyes too, like you look at it like left ends or left outside linebackers in a 3-4, those sometimes that's like your best pass rusher because you're trying to match up with the team's weakest tackle, so say. I mean, that's where guys like Von Miller and Khalil Mack line up a lot. And if you can help in the run game get not even 7 yards, 5 yards per gain on the outside, that's insane because I get you at 2nd and 5, which is pretty close to 2nd and short, and that's where you want to be.
You know how much we love 2nd and short.
2nd and short is the best place to be outside of 1st and 10. Like, first down is obviously the best, but once the first play has happened, if you're not 2nd and short, you're in trouble. That's just how I look. And, Conklin's athleticism is needed to get to the outside and to clear that edge for that running back. But let's talk about how he's kind of inconsistent in that passing game.
Yeah, like I said before, he's a bit more inconsistent defending the pass. He's got enough brute strength and athleticism to kind of hold edge rushers at bay, but his footwork is not as great against the pass. He has a tendency sometimes of playing too upright, and he can get knocked off balance against a real strong like bull rush. But I mean, that's something that the Browns obviously are going to know. They're going to work with him on that. And Conklin's shown to be the type of player who can improve certain aspects of his game. It's like if he wasn't great and when they switched schemes and he worked at it, and now he's one of the top right tackles in the league.
He has allowed 12 sacks in his career, and I think a lot of that could just be like to the way like their blocking schemes have like changed constantly. Let's kind of switch this up. Let's go to impact, and this is a really good place to go for offensive linemen more than any other position because one player on the offensive line can actually have a huge impact on a team. And I kind of jumped in and interrupted you, but I want you to continue. Let's go with his impact on the Browns this year.
Yeah, so I wanna try and like explain how I think the reasoning went. In signing Conklin, the Browns they went into the offseason needing an upgrade at both left and right tackle and at right guard because they have their left guard and center positions already sealed up. They've got really good players there. You don't want to add like two rookies on the right side, so it's not like you wouldn't want to draft a young right tackle and then add an experienced or a young right guard because then you have that whole side of the line is problematic. So Conklin is like the perfect solution to that. You bring him in; he's a veteran, proven right tackle. You don't have to worry about him a whole lot. He can help out whoever's going to play right guard, which at the moment looks to be Alex Teller. And then you have your rookie on the left side, Jedrick Wills, who's playing next to Joe Bitonio, who's already a very established, very good guard in the league. So that kind of helps to bring together the whole offensive line. And you're not leaving any rookies or inexperienced players out on an island. Everyone's got the help they needed.
I mean, you can try and argue with me, but you'd be wrong. But life is better with a best friend right next to you. And that's just what it is. Like a more experienced best friend in something you don't know exactly what you're doing is the best thing to have because it's somebody you trust that's going to have your back and is going to teach you. And so that's what we got here. We got this like big brother, best friend type situation on this offensive line where they're able to put a veteran in between rookies or next to. If Conklin plays like he showed he can last year, the Browns should have a much improved offensive line, not just next year, but over the next 3 years of this contract. And potentially Conklin could be a long stay for this Browns team if this improvement continues. I mean, the Browns last year were kind of in the dumps on offensive ranking. I mean, passing yards were kind of meh, but rushing yards, I mean, they were 12th in the league in rushing yards. They were 15th in touchdowns, but that should improve. When you have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, you should be a top 10 rushing offense. It just should happen. I mean, we just saw Mark Ingram and Lamar Jackson help the Ravens be the number one rushing team. Like that's a near 30-year-old running back and a quarterback. Why can't Nick Chubb, who was the second best rusher last year for the league based on rushing yards, and Kareem Hunt, who outside of all of his outside, it's situations that happen, when he was with the Chiefs, he was explosive. And that should continue. And if the run game keeps improving because the offensive line is improving, the pass game will improve, which means OBJ is happy, Jarvis Landry's happy. Baker Mayfield isn't getting, ran out of town. And the Browns are making the playoffs.
Playoffs?
Oh, there we go. Well, with that, why don't we move into predictions? And I just told you mine. Browns are making the playoffs. This move right here is going to solidify the Browns into having a top 5 offensive line this year. And because of that, their rush offense is going to move into the top 10. And because of that, their pass offense is going to move into the top 16. And we're going to see a very explosive team. All this is going to come to par. Conklin's going to put himself in contention for another all-pro season at right tackle. Baker Mayfield is going to look great and have his chance to look like a potential MVP candidate. And I just think overall this Browns team is just going to look great, all because of moves like bringing in, these hog molies on the offensive line.
Yeah, I think the biggest impact here is going to, like, what I am most looking for is to see how this helps out Baker Mayfield, because he showed so much promise his rookie year and then last year had that slump. The offensive line did not help him out at all. So I'm really excited to see if this new and improved offensive line can bring Baker Mayfield back to how he looked in his rookie year, and like how he to the potential that he showed in the player that he looks like he can be. So I think that's kind of what I'm looking to see, is how much Baker Mayfield improves with this addition.
When Baker was in Oklahoma with Cliff Kingsbury, he had a lot of time inside that pocket to be poised and, just not have so much pressure on him that he was able to just drop dimes whenever he needed to. And that's what this move is going to help him do. It's going to take pressure off of him. It's going to allow him to kind of be in the pocket for a little bit longer. And he's going to be able to deliver results to his playmakers that he has everywhere on the field. This Browns team might be the most impressive offensive unit in the AFC.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, they've got so many good players at so many positions that, I mean, they had all the hype last year, and I think partly because of that hype, they just kind of flared out. This year, they've improved in terms of talent and in the player personnel, but it seems like they don't have that overhype that they had last year. And I think that'll only help them out.
I agree. Any other predictions before we get out the door?
I don't know if I have any more predictions. I think Brown's offensive line definitely will be by the end, maybe not the beginning of the year, but by the end of the year, once everyone's gotten like gelled together and is working together, I think they'll be probably, if not top 5 in the league, then definitely top 8, top 7.
Alrighty, and that is going to do it for us here on Second and Short. Thank you, Cleveland Browns fans, for stepping on in. Again, click that like button. We want to see you guys beat the Raiders. 20 likes. It's a small goal. 20 likes. I mean, if you guys get 100 viewers here, that's literally 20%. The other 80% of you can just watch this video for a couple minutes and go along your day. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys like our content here, be sure to check us out on all other social media platforms, such as...
Yeah, we got Facebook going, updating every episode I post there. Instagram, we've got news updates, discussion points. I'll sometimes put up polls in the story and stuff like that. Twitter's going on. We got polls on Twitter every Friday. And just feel free to hit us up and slide into our DMs and any of those social media platforms. And we'll be happy to talk.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys. Y'all have a great day.